The Boys in the Boat. Read the book or watch the movie? Which should you do? Hi, I'm Amanda, and this is Spineless Books, your one-stop shop for all things audiobook. Now, The Boys in the Boat is a triumphant tale of 9 rowers and their coach. They start out effectively never having rowed crew before, and they make it all the way to the 1936 Olympics to defeat Hitler's boat in Nazi Germany. Now, that may come across as a little bit of a spoiler, but the truth is this is a really well-known story. It's a very popular tale ever since 1936 when it happened. It's been widely known in the world of sports. So if it's a spoiler for you, I'm sorry, but I think most people are aware of this story. Now, it follows primarily one rower, Joe Rance. Now, Joe comes from absolutely nothing. He's barely scraping by, and in fact, he joins the crew team because he knows that getting a seat in the boat comes with a job. So it follows Joe and it follows his coach, Al Albrechtsen. Now, both are pretty interesting characters, but is there enough to sustain both a book and a movie? Let's get into it. So starting with the movie primarily focuses on Joe Rance. Now, Joe is a really interesting character. He has been abandoned by his father at just before the age of 14 and basically left to fend for himself. So the fact that he's enrolled in college is pretty much a miracle, and he is barely scraping by. So it's really a rags to riches story, and we follow Joe's relationship with his father, which is pretty much non-existent and very strained. We follow his relationship with his best girl, and we follow his relationship with George Pocock, who's a boat builder. Now, the truth is the movie really doesn't go into Joe's story in any kind of depth in comparison to the book. Joe's story is elaborate, and in the movie, you get a couple of montages that give you a sense of the fact that he's poor, and we see him put newspaper in his shoe to cover up a hole, but there's really not a whole lot told in his story. A lot of it's implied. Now, they also don't go that far into his relationship with George Pocock, who's in fact a really pivotal figure in the story. He is not just a boat builder, which is kind of how the movie plays him to be, but Joe really depends on George Pocock, who becomes sort of a father figure to him. So the stakes in the movie, in my opinion, are not high enough, but that's what we get in 2 hours. Now, the book, on the other hand, goes way into all of these details. You get every single episode between Joe and his father, between his girlfriend and her family, over years and years and years. They really make you earn interest in Joe, and they tell you every single piece of struggle that he's gone through, and it's pretty exorbitant. So when he connects with George Pocock, who is a legendary boat builder, it's really a beautiful moment in the story. But the other thing that the book goes into, that the movie really just sort of like makes a montage about, is how challenging it was for Albrechtsen, the coach, to set up this successful boat. I mean, Joe's in the boat, Joe's out of the boat, Joe's in the 6th seat, Joe's in the 8th seat, Joe's in the 5th seat, Joe's in another boat, Joe's back in the boat. All kinds of drama, and it goes through every single one of those like it's a new story each time, which quite honestly got a little repetitive. So in a way, while the movie downplays it tremendously, the book kind of goes too far into details. So it's really like, it's a lot. I felt like for something that was such a simple story, I can't imagine that I was as bored as I was, even though I was really interested in it. Like, I'm so bored, but I'm so captivated. It was a very weird experience. The other thing that the book does really well is it plays the stakes of Hitler. Now, in the movie, you basically see this 30-second clip where they show Hitler getting ready to welcome other people to Germany and hopefully impress them. But in the book, you learn all about what Hitler is doing and how important these Olympics are to him to represent Germany as basically an established and a classy nation. He is going all out for these 1936 Olympics. So there's a lot riding on this for Germany and for Hitler. And the idea that the Americans are going to go race against the German rowing team and maybe beat them, you know that's going to be devastating because Hitler is putting everything into this. So the book or the movie, the truth is it kind of depends on how much you want to learn. The movie will give you a really great once-over of the story. You'll meet all of the major characters. You'll get a sense of everything, but it's not going to go into the great historical depth that the book does. So if that's your jam, I would say stick with the book. But the truth is the book kind of really drags on. It's a slog. It's very slow, and I think maybe it's too slow in parts, but here's probably the best scenario. Read the book and then watch the movie. If you were to watch the movie first, the book is just going to drag and drag and drag, which it kind of does a little bit anyway, but not in the same way it would if you saw the movie first. But if you read the book first and then you watch the movie, you'll be satisfied. You'll see all the things you expect to see, but you'll see them in a very abbreviated fashion. So that would be my rec. Book first, movie second. And if you don't have a great attention span, maybe just the movie. If I'm going to be honest, this was not my favorite book. I did kind of feel glad that I read it, but I really didn't love the writing. It left me a little bit lacking at times. But remember, you might love what I hate and hate what I love. So make your own opinion. But thanks for listening to mine. See you next time.